Can you see me?
Stand on the chair.
No. I always say this is how you can tell it's a 4-foot podium. So Citizenship had a announcement on February 19th. It was put out on our MNBC Facebook page and possibly other places as well. I'm not too sure where else it was advertised. For those citizens to get on the hub, and it was enticing. It was a competition, not a competition, a contest to, put your name, do the hub. And there were, some concerns in that, and they were all answered. Citizenship got back to all of those who said, hey, I had a glitch here, something's going on. But Citizenship did get back to everybody that did go on that site and sign up. And I'm not sure if Colleen can tell us how many actually registered through this contest. And it was from February 19th, and yesterday was the final day. And the prize is 1 iPad per region. So there was kind of a random draw per region of all of those that registered on the hub. So I have the names that have been drawn for each region, and I'll pass out to the regional directors, and I'll have them read it out. So I'll just get Colleen to speak more on this. Thank you.
Thanks, Susie. So yeah, don't need the 4-foot podium. This is, thanks, Minister Hooper, and we wanted to, have this contest, as Susie said, and make an enticement to get signed up, but also just to, stay connected to communities and to people that are in touch with the Ministry of Citizenship. We want to really work on building our relationships with communities and citizens and applicants, and we want to make the Ministry of Citizenship a little bit more fun. People had fun yesterday. We could see them throwing those dice like for all they were worth. It was awesome because the Ministry of Citizenship has been always this kind of serious place. And yeah, the business we do is serious, but we need to lighten it up a bit. So this contest is kind of an effort to do that. We have about 1,300 people signed up on the hub right now. And of that, there's about 725 citizens. So this contest was for the citizens. So we're really excited that we can give away 1 iPad per region for people that signed up to the hub. And for those of you that missed this opportunity, there will be other opportunities. As I said, we want to make this ministry a little bit more fun, so stay tuned. So Minister Hooper is going to pass out the names to the regional directors to draw the names. And I would like also, before we do that, to just introduce, I think everybody knows Denise, but I don't want to assume they do because we got new people. Denise Jagger is the Director of Citizenship and had worked previously for the ministry and came back to us. And the hub, she worked tirelessly on this thing, a lot. It took a lot of work. And Denise was the one that led it. And I did whatever she needed me to do to support her, but Denise really led this work. And Patricia Newberry, who is also a citizen, who is our Citizenship Relations Coordinator. Many of you in this room have spoken with her. Again, just a key person to be that connection that you all need to get the answers to the questions you have. So we're also trying to build that up and create a better relationship there. So we know there's still lots of applications there. We want to always thank you for your patience, but we want to make sure you're connected to us. So thank you very much for all of you that entered into this contest. And just a heads up, there's no staff names that are being handed out.
And then I'd like to also say that these iPads will be mailed out, so regional directors don't have to worry about taking an iPad home and getting it delivered. And they'll be mailed out to the correct addresses because they've just signed up on the hub.
And the winner out of Region 2, Louis de Jager. Yeah. Oh.
So for Region 1, it's Calvin Hopwo.
Region 2 is Carson Olofsson.
Region 3, Roderick May.
Region 4, Jocelyn Miller.
Region 5, Deborah Terleski.
And Region 6 is Gary Hartnell.
Region 7, Luke Matson.
All right, that's great, and I'm sure they'll be looking forward now to receiving those iPads. That's awesome. So we are, I think we're all okay, so we're getting the thumbs up. So we will continue this morning, and we'll start with Resolution 4. After we've confirmed quorum. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Beaker.
Someone's in a hurry to go home, and I don't necessarily blame him. However, David Allard. Here. Rob Anderson.
Here.
Miranda Berard.
Here.
Caitlin Bird.
Here.
Joy Bremner.
Here.
Zev Brewer.
Present.
Topher Burke.
Here.
Ron Caron. Bernadette Chaboyer.
Here.
Alana Copeland.
Here.
Nicole Corson.
Here.
Jeff Crozier.
Here.
Sean Daverin.
Here.
Louis DeJager.
Present.
Sylvia DeRoche.
Present.
Cheryl Dodman.
Bon Matan.
Mark DeBoard.
Present.
Kate Elliott. Alicia Fernando.
Present.
Deb Fisher.
Present.
Paulette Flamond.
Present.
Lee Fraser.
Here.
Rainey Gervais.
Present.
Dean Gladue.
Top Way, present.
Tony Goulet.
Here.
June Graham.
Good morning, John.
Patrick Harriet.
Present.
Susie Hooper.
Present.
Travis Jobin.
Present.
Jamie Keith.
Here.
Peter Lang.
Here.
Charlotte Lever.
Present.
Richard Lewis.
Present.
Betty Ann McDonnell.
Present.
Walter Minot.
That way.
Lana Olson. Dan Pope.
Here.
Chris Sample.
Here.
Kelly Sears.
Present.
Mert Servatius.
Here.
Dana Shaw.
Here.
Natasha Smith.
Here.
Lisa Smith.
Here.
Greg Stanwood. Joyce Sundin.
Present.
Marlene Swears. Vince Van Weergen.
Present.
Pixie Wells.
Hi, hi.
Is there anyone that I missed? Okay, I confirmed that we have a quorum present.
Thank you very much. And I'll turn it right back to you to read Resolution 4 when you're ready.
Resolution number 4. The subject is clarifying citizenship eligibility / acceptance. Legislation effective is the Citizenship Act, submitted by the Métis Nation Columbia River Society on January 25th, 2024, requires a 75% vote for approval. Whereas the Métis National Council General Assembly adopted the following national definition in 2002. Métis means a person who self-identifies as Métis, is distinct from other Aboriginal peoples, is of historic Métis Nation ancestry, and who is accepted by the Métis Nation. In its judgment in R versus Powley 2003, the Supreme Court of Canada confirmed that Métis are a rights-bearing Aboriginal people and set out the components of a Métis definition for the purpose of claiming Aboriginal rights under Section 35 of the Constitution Act 1982, based on ancestral connection to and acceptance by historic Métis communities. Pursuant to the Powley decision, Canada has supported the MNC governing members in establishing and maintaining citizenship registries. To be registered as Métis, a person must apply to the Métis registry operated by the MNC governing member in the province in which they reside. Be it resolved that the Citizenship Act be amended as follows. Insert the following as Article 3.1.3. 3.1.3. The applicant recognizes that they must not be enrolled on any other Aboriginal registry. This includes being registered as a member, citizen, or beneficiary under the Indian Act, or with any other organization or group that claims to represent Métis or other Aboriginal peoples for the purposes of rights, interests, and self-government. Subject to approval of A above in Article 3.2, insert 3.1.3 after 3.1.2 so that the article will read 3.2. Once the Citizenship Authority is satisfied that the applicant has met the conditions in Articles 3.1, 3.1.1, 3.1.2, and 3.1.3, the Citizenship Authority may issue the applicant notification of community acceptance not exceeding 90 days and then issue a Métis Nation British Columbia citizenship card. I would like to note that the printed version of your book refers to Registrar and Registration Authority. As you'll remember in the Citizenship Act, we changed those terms to the Citizenship Authority. The corrected text is highlighted, and that is a change from what is in the book.
Thank you very much, and thank you for that explanation. Do I have a mover and a seconder? And I'll go ahead. Just introduce yourself.
Travis Jobin, Métis Nation, Columbia River Society. I so move.
Thank you. And a seconder?
Rob Anderson, Vancouver City, I second.
Thank you very much. I'll turn it over to President Jobin to speak to this resolution.
Thanks, everybody. Yeah, so really this was some work we did with from the AGM last time, sort of in the flavor of kind of some of the issues we're encountering with the other Métis governments and other organizations representing Métis people in our province. And so, you know, we thought that this should be included in an application that people would basically note down if they're part of any of these other governments. You know, obviously we fully understand that this is, we don't have access, we don't have a way to cross-reference with other citizenship lists from other organizations. This is really just somebody writing down or noting down whether or not they're part of it from their own heart, you know, whether they want to be honest or not. I also think it's a good education tool. I think people are sometimes not aware that when they move from province to province, they are supposed to join with the provincial Métis organization that, or the provincial Métis government that they, of the province they reside. And also, you know, it seems like there's a little confusion with, you know, other Métis government organizations or claiming to be government organizations in our province right now, and people are sort of confused as to what's what and who's who. So really, that's the intent of this. It's not, you know, we fully understand that it's not. We don't have a way to check any other registrations. It's really up to people to self-declare. Thank you.
Thank you, President Jobin. I'll ask if President Anderson wishes to speak to this.
My mouth, oh, sorry. I mirror 100% what you had to say. I have nothing to add.
Thank you very much. President Keith.
Jamie Keith, leader of SOSMA, South Okanagan Similkameen Métis, and BCMF has just opened up a chapter in the Okanagan, and it has certainly caused some friction. When we get new citizens, I will not sign their form unless I meet with them to explain the breadth of their rights and the role of SOSMA and MNBC. That's been a big role in contributing to why SOSMA is so active, because I meet with people. But oftentimes they will pull out their BCMF card and say, and what does this get me? And I jokingly say, kicked out. But I know that my board can be very, their biggest knock on me is that I'm way too harsh about it. But I really do believe that, no, our citizens are smart. They are capable of learning the difference between the two and understanding why it's important that they not have both. I really think it's a big mistake when people have both, because it cheapens our nation. It makes it seem like it's just about getting benefits and collecting the points that you get when you pass go. And people need to understand this is not the Pokemon Go of Métis Nation, gotta catch all the cards. It's important that people understand that when they get an MNBC card, they're part of a nation. And to be part of multiple, especially when that other one is causing so much issues, it's important to know. And while I don't fault anyone who doesn't understand and just gets both, it's important that they learn and they educate themselves. And this is a great starting point to have that conversation. I will certainly say if this passes, I have 6 screenshots ready to be sent off to the registrar of people online on Facebook saying they have all these memberships. So I'm pretty excited for this one to pass. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I next have Chairperson Davrin.
Yeah, Sean Davrin, Provincial Youth Chair. I'll start off by saying that I am in support of this because I do understand where it comes from. I do, however, want to bring back into everybody's mind the idea of colonialism. As somebody who can hold status, I don't, because I wouldn't be a Métis citizen if I did. In saying that, I'm turning my back on my ancestry and my ancestors. And I, again, completely am fully behind this because I understand where we are at right now in the government. I understand why we only want to be a part of one Aboriginal organization. We're in reference to, the BCMFs, everything else that's happening there. But I do just want to put it into people's minds that I would love to one day have it where we can hold that status and that citizenship. I know that that is so far down the road, and that is something that is, going to mean that Canada isn't making us be laterally violent to each other. So, that's a hell of an ask, but just something that I think is important for us to hold into our hearts, that in saying that we have to be compliant with the Indian Act and only hold one of these two sides of, or for myself, sorry, like to only hold one of these two sides of my ancestry, it's rough. But again, I am speaking in favor of this because I completely understand why we are doing it, but just some food for thought, I guess. Thank you.
Thank you. I next have President Allard.
You were up first. Sorry. Do you want to just give me your time? No, I can go. You. Sorry, Chair. I think Dave and I agree that I was before him, if you don't mind me. Okay. Mark DeBoard, Two Rivers Métis. I've kind of got 2 questions and then a comment that I kind of want some clarity on. One, if you, I understand this is for new citizens, but if there's information in the public domain that existing citizens have multiple associations, will this affect do they have to revoke, or, because I understand we don't have access to their registries, but, I think when people are waving around cards or whatnot, and it is in the public domain, I'm just curious if this would affect that situation where we'd have kind of 2 different classes of citizens where once you're in the club, you can do whatever you want.
Thank you. I'll recognize Mr. Beaker, and then we may have some other follow-up to assist with that response. Mr. Beaker?
So thank you, President DeBoard. This resolution would apply for new applicants. You are correct about that. As for eligibility of current citizens, there are no provisions in legislation now that state that being a member of another Métis organization means that your citizenship with MNBC would become invalid. The only way that that would happen is if through some of the audits that Citizenship does, we find that there was an error in the application process first, or we also, and Colleen can confirm, I think that we do reconcile our list with the ISCA status First Nations roles as well. And if we found that you had First Nation status as well, then you would be ineligible for citizenship. But for Métis organizations, there is nothing in legislation that says that you would lose your citizenship if you were a member of another.
Thank you. And then my second question is, does this put Métis that are moving across province in limbo in the sense that they would have to reject their Alberta government status before they could apply for BC?
Perhaps, Colleen, are you able to respond to that question?
Thanks, Mr. Speaker. And yeah, just some clarification. So really good questions, and you know the discussion is awesome. So just when we met with President Travis when this stuff was going on, and just had a really fulsome conversation with him and one of his board members who was involved in writing the resolution. I think we just have to think about, as he said, kind of the purpose or the intention of what this resolution means. So there's all these technicality pieces, and they're all great questions, but the intention of the resolution is that we are trying to perhaps have someone, when they apply for citizenship, because absolutely it's only for new citizens, when someone's applying for citizenship, to think about why they're applying for citizenship and what that means. So I can give you an example. So he mentioned also perhaps this is through the citizenship application. So if we were to amend the citizenship application to include this, it would look like you'd be filling out your primary source information, and then we ask if you're First Nations status. And then we give you an opportunity to mark yes or no. We need to always ask these questions up front. Perhaps the follow-up question to that is, do you have membership, citizenship, or whatever, with another governing body or Métis organization, or however you guys figure you want it worded, on the citizenship application form? To, again, when somebody's filling this out, to have them think about what it is they're doing. The other piece of this that we could do from a technical sense is when you fill out an application for citizenship, you sign it. And when you sign it, there is an oath that is included in the application for citizenship. And this oath clearly says that when you sign it, you are agreeing that Métis Nation British Columbia is your Métis government. They represent you, and they represent your Section 35 rights, your interest in advancing those collective rights as a citizen. So imagine that you're filling this out and you are filling it out maybe for the wrong reason. And you're applying for citizenship and you think about this oath and what it means. So when you sign that, you're saying that our Métis government in British Columbia is representing your Section 35 rights. So I guess how would you feel about that if you had no intention of being, that person of the Métis government in British Columbia? So it's kind of that place we're at as a nation, evolving and reflecting on this and being compelled to think, what does this mean when I apply for citizenship? And who is representing me? And to this affirmation of a Métis government saying, MNBC represents you, nobody else, not BCMF or anybody else, MNBC represents you. So I hope I didn't misspeak, Travis, but that's kind of the intention where we wanted to go with this, and we had a great conversation about it. So we're just trying to figure out the technicalities, because yes, there is no national registry, and we're not the citizenship police. We can't, if we have BCMF members in the citizenship registry right now, they'll stay there, they'll have cards, because again, we're not the citizenship police. But when people are applying for citizenship, and as we move towards IGB, and we move towards self-government, let's think about what our Section 35 rights mean. And when you have a Métis Nation BC citizenship card, you have Section 35 rights. That's why you have to be a citizen to be involved in our government. So I hope that kind of...
Well, so is that oath already there right now?
Yes.
So I guess what we're trying to do here is kind of lay out a ground rule that's basically stops anyone from even getting to that oath. And so I'm just trying to understand how it would work if someone was moving from Alberta to BC. Is this the purpose of this resolution, that there'd be a check the box, we got more questions? Or is it a hard stop, you are not allowed to apply?
It's not a hard stop at all.
Because it reads like a hard stop.
Yeah, it's not. We have no national registry. So what we do is we encourage people, and we have lots of people. We have a couple of staff members actually that moved to BC and applied for positions at MNBC and are staff members. And they have cards from other provinces, and we just encourage them to apply for their MNBC citizenship card. But we can't, you know, I agree with the comments that were made that we can't, first of all, we can't be some kind of enforcement here, because that's not how this works. But we also have to remember to the First Nations and the Métis part of this specifically, because that is included in this resolution, that we in the Ministry of Citizenship do not say what happens in community. We determine if you're eligible for citizenship or not. And we don't say if you're not eligible because you're First Nations, we don't say that you are not part of your Métis community or that you're involved in whatever way you're involved. That is not our role. We are strictly about, and you know, that was the audit in Article 6 when some of you helped us get a better way of doing that with our letters out to these people that were removed from the audit, to say we're not saying you're not part of your community, we're just saying you're not eligible for citizenship. So that's kind of what we're trying to say here too. But at the end of the day, absolutely, they can have a card from anywhere and they can apply for a citizenship card with MNBC, and if they're eligible, we'll approve it. So, you know, this is a different kind of conversation. I know I'm maybe muddying the waters here, but it's we're not some authority here.
Okay, Speaker, once you've had your 5, if I could propose a motion to say that the registry will look into these situations versus just saying you're not allowed to apply.
But just, sorry, just to be clear, we're not saying you're not allowed to apply.
It says they recognize they must not be enrolled.
Yeah, they can still apply for citizenship. So I would pass that back to
Okay, so
the
then
writer, perhaps.
recognize that if they are enrolled during their application, the registry will look into it.
Thank you. I've got President Allard.
Yeah. Hi, David Allard, Salmon Métis Association. Yeah, most of my questions were answered, but I do have one that just came up here. I'm just curious, out of fairness to individuals that did sign that form, that recognizing that the oath and MNBC representing them, what happens if those individuals move or simply change their mind? They don't want MNBC to be representing them, and they request to be removed from the citizenship list. When those requests come in, are they fast tracked? Just out of fairness to those individuals, how is that dealt with? Thank you.
Okay, so if you are a citizen of Métis Nation, British Columbia, and at any point in time you want to make a voluntary withdrawal, there is a process for it, and you can apply to be removed from the citizenship list for your chartered community. You know, I like to stick with some language we've been practicing a lot in the Ministry of Citizenship. Nothing's expedited. Everything's processed. Everything takes time because we want to do it right. We have to do it right. So if somebody sends us a request to be voluntarily removed from the citizenship registry, it's not going to happen in 24 hours. We need processing time. We don't have a whole bunch of people. So, but we would honor that request, absolutely, and we would notify them that we'd received the request, and within, you know, a reasonable amount of time, you're absolutely correct. They would voluntarily be removed from the citizenship list. Yes.
Thank you. Next have Director Flamont.
Yeah, good morning. Paulette Flamont, Region 7 Director and proud member of MNBC. My question, I mean, I also want to support Jamie because this is a massive confusion in the Northeast. We have another provincial Métis organization that basically has opened up 2 offices, one in Fort Nelson and one in Fort St. John. So what this does in our community is I get inundated as well with calls from mayors, council members, Chamber of Commerce. They're very, very confused, and especially Treaty 8. And I'm going to speak to it from an economic development aspect of it. We are, you know, we are the government of our people, in the Northeast for Métis Nation BC. And with all of this confusion, often industry and First Nations are often confused. So I guess my question really is, if communities are involved with another organization, are they in conflict with MNBC? Because I really support this and I believe that it needs to stop, because we are the ones that should be receiving the benefits in the Northeast. And if you know anything about the Northeast, it's where all of the money is coming from with industry. So how do we get that going to stop that other organization from actually taking over our resources?
Sorry, Minister Vaughn, you would like me to answer that question? I don't know if I can. I get it, big time, what's happening, you know, there, and as President Keith said as well, it's, you know, what does it get you? It gets you kicked out. So, okay then, like, you know, how do we communicate that in our chartered communities and our areas from a citizenship perspective, because that's what I can speak to, is I guess it's that awareness perhaps from what MNBC citizenship is. You know, I'm just thinking if you have a service provider there, or you have a business association or whomever that understands that Section 35 rights for Métis people in British Columbia are attached to MNBC citizenship, full stop. No other organization, whatever you want to call it, in BC that has cards has Section 35 rights attached to them. So what this looks like might be, I'm thinking of community services for sure. And I mentioned, I think yesterday, about how we're trying to work really hard with community services and our communications department, and maybe that's what we are talking about here, and citizenship. And doing this, who is, you know, Métis, and what do these cards, what does citizenship with Métis Nation BC mean? Because absolutely, it's very confusing. And there was a CBC article that came out just recently about a woman that was interviewed by CBC. Just so happy she got her BCMF card, and it was, you know, online, and it was like, oh my gosh, like, you know, everybody sent it to me. Of course, I already had it, but it was like, yeah, this is the confusing part, because this woman was all excited, and so Denise and I talked about it, and it was like, how do we reach out to her in a really good way and kind of like share with her what, you know, what it is. So I think there's a lot of work to do, I would say, but yes, we need to make it a priority. I agree, Minister Flamont.
Thank you. Before I get to the next speaker, I'll recognize Mr. Beaker.
Thank you. I'd like to remind delegates that we are being live streamed right now, and I want to just make the delegates aware that we should probably watch what we say about the implications of having a membership in another organization if we don't have anything in our legislation that says that they can or can't be part of this. We are on the live stream, and we don't want to have some incorrect information being captured by somebody else and saying, see, we knew this all along. So just something to point out to the Assembly. Thank you.
Point of order.
Is it possible for this body to go in camera then? And if people really want to have a great discussion, we can finally have it.
I'd like to make a motion, we go in camera. Dean Glad, you
have a moment.
Region 3 Director.
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. I've got a motion to go in camera by Director Gladue, and I'm sorry, I heard a seconder over here. Kate Elliott, thank you. Just a moment. I see another hand down there. Just as I've got your name. Is that with regards to going into in camera? I'll recognize President Goulet.
Thank you very much, Tony Goulet, President, North Caribou Métis Association. And can I get clarification? Sorry, and understand, but why are we going into in-camera? We're live streaming so that citizens can hear what's happening within the province and within both Métis organizations. So I'm just wondering why the in-camera piece. I don't think we're mentioning names or mentioning individuals specifically or any of that kind of stuff, but I think it's is it because we're mentioning the other organization? Is that why the in-camera is taking place? I'm just a little confused on that, because I think as citizens, they do need to hear what's happening within BC. That's just my personal, but I'm just wondering why the in-camera, if I can get clarification.
Perhaps I'll turn to Mr. Gladue as the mover to go in camera to respond to that question.
Well, Tony, you bring up a really good, Dean Gladue, Region 3 Director, you bring up an absolutely great point. Yes, with our populace. But I'm just wondering why going in camera, because this is the MNGA, this isn't the AGM, this is the Métis National Governments Assembly, each president, we all have each a vote here. And when something very sensitive is being talked to, and I really believe, like when I put up my hand, and I put up my hand for a reason, because some of the things I wish I could say, it's about the betterment and it's about the survival of our nation. We're at odds tremendously with other organizations, and they threaten our very existence of our Métis government in British Columbia. And if some people have something to really say, I think this is the time, but as well, let's follow the respect of our guidelines as delegates, where we're respecting each other's voices. There's no yelling and screaming, the bullying that may happen, but sometimes candid discussions with families are important, and we're a family. And MNBC's very essence of threat is real and it's imminent, and we've got to have a frank discussion. That's why I want to do it. And if that's but again, that's my feelings. But if it's the flavor of the we still have the vote here if we want to go to in-camera. It's not my authority. I'm just suggesting it. So, but you get a good point. So, thank you.
Thank you. The next hand I had with regards to going in camera was Vice President Van Weeregen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm just kind of more so on the question of President Goulet there. It is about the transparency part of things, and I respect your discussion, Minister Gladue, in regards to having family conversations. I think we need to really focus, and as CGO Beaker pointed out, we are speaking on a motion to put this in, and simply by making accusations and statements based on what, if this is implemented, could happen to those, and we're discussing what could happen to members in the future prior to putting this forward. And I think that's what we just need to be careful on, what we're conversing about. We need to focus on this, and are we going to put this forward? Not what's going to happen after this goes forward, or what happens to those individuals that have their status, or the implications of what happens to those that are waving their BCMF card around. First step is figuring out whether or not we pass this, and then from that, the registrar will figure out how to move forward with those situations. Going in camera, we could have some great discussions today about different organizations, but that's not what this is entailing. And that's not what our people are live streaming and looking into. We can have that discussion around another dinner, or in our RGCs, or at any other point in a Facebook chat. But we really just need to get back to this point, not what the implications will be after this passes, if this passes. Thank you.
Thank you. I've got 6 more speakers on the list with regards to in-camera, so I'll stop it at these 6, and then we'll have a decision at that point. So I next have President Keith.
Jamie Keith, President of SOSMA. We need to go in camera because I'm not very good at censoring myself. I'm often quoted as saying I have the social skills of a brick of cheese. John, I don't know what you mean when you say be careful. I think you're referring to naming specific citizens, but the fact I don't understand and would need you to pull me aside to really go into detail about what I can and cannot say, I'd rather just speak freely than break the rules, and I feel like I'm wading into territory I don't necessarily understand, nor, if I'm being quite frank, have the skills to understand. So I would prefer in camera because I'm not clear on what I can and cannot say. Thank you.
Thank you. President Caron.
Ron Caron, Vernon District Métis. If we go in camera, does that mean recording devices get put away, turned off, taken away, set over on a table so it can't be recorded? Is that correct? Just to clarify? Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Director Harriet.
Patrick Harriet, Region 1 Director. So, unfortunately, in order to have a frank conversation, perhaps even a strategic conversation about moving forward, some entities take things very, so defamation is something that other entities look for, and sometimes things can be taken out of context or can be said in haste or without thinking. So others look for those opportunities to latch on to what could be considered libelous or defamatory comments when we're just trying to have a frank and open discussion about things. So if we want to have a frank and open discussion that's strategic and is looking at other entities and the implications of those, that's why we should go in camera.
Thank you, Director Harriet. President Allard.
Thank you, David Allard, Seminar Métis Association. I would like a point of clarification in regards to exactly what going in camera would entail, our responsibilities towards that. Perhaps that can be shared. I'd also like to, I was going to begrudgingly say I support Vice President Van Weergen's points, but I'll strike that. I fully support his points. Let's stay focused on the specifics of this resolution, move on to Resolution 5, and then despite this conversation that's proposed for in camera being extremely important, let's try to find the time to schedule that and be prepared and have a fulsome discussion about these issues, which personally I don't think are an existential threat to MNBC, despite being a very real threat. I think our nation is solid. I think that was demonstrated during the discussions yesterday, and I'd rather focus on business. There are timelines and deadlines for flights and travel here, so I'd like to hear about the clarification about in camera, and then I'll make my mind on that. But I think we should stay focused on the specifics of this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, President Allard, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Beaker to respond to those questions.
So thank you for that, President Allard. In-camera session would entail the following, and I am taking this off the top of my head for confidentiality. I don't think the MNGA has gone in camera for a very long time. The live stream will be turned off. We would require that delegates put all of their smartphones in front of them so that we know that you are not touching them and recording them. There is an option as to whether or not we either clear the gallery, or if we are okay with the gallery staying, we would collect all cell phones from the gallery as well. And then finally, any discussions that are being done in camera would not be recorded in the official minutes, but also all delegates and anyone who is observing would not be able to disclose what was discussed in an in-camera session. Doing that would be a breach of the confidentiality of this body. I hope that answers your question, and we don't have a policy around that. That's just off the top of my head of how we can protect it.
Got a couple more speakers first, Director.
Well, I was just going to suggest, because I suggested, have we ever went in camera, or is it a good thing to do? Why don't we plan for it in June? And then we can sort it out. If we haven't never done this, we can just get on with the business, and we can plan for a time, because we do that at the MNC, and we're able to talk about those things in the, and you can really come out and ask the questions you want to ask, and we can actually be honest and tell you the truth, and I think I'm just suggesting maybe let's do that in June.
So the issue, we've got, the next one would be in June, would be online.
Yeah.
And so some of the difficulties in as the example that Mr. Beaker said, was putting the cell phones in the front so that everyone could see that nobody else in the assembly is using it or anything like that, which may be more difficult while online. I do have a couple more speakers to this, the in-camera aspect, and I will add President Copeland's name as well, but I've got President Graham and then President Byrd.
Good morning, June Graham, Alberni, Clayoquot, Métis. I agree with a lot that's being said here. The point I want to share is that, and I like to share it every time if I can, this is our table. We meet 3 times a year. This is our only opportunity as presidents that generally work in isolation, and we don't get to do this one-on-one and talk about things. So the flavor I want to add to this conversation is, this is our table. Every president or vice president that's sitting at this table, it's our table. So 3 times a year, we get to be the boss at this table. And we've showed that in the past when our table's been taken from us and we've gotten it back. So I just want that to be in your minds. And I think it's important that we all be aware of what's happening in our province and beyond. I'm quite up to date on it, but that doesn't mean that everybody else is. It's not allegations. It's far beyond that. There's supporting documentation all over Canada. So this isn't about allegations. It's about us as proud MNBC nation citizens standing up for who we are and protecting our integrity. Because like we heard earlier, there is enemies out there. And I do not doubt our ability to rise together. And sometimes it takes conversations to rise together. So I'm not opposed to in-camera. My thought was just to remind each of you of your ownership over this table. It's a privilege, and it's ours. Thank you.
Thank you. President Byrd.
Caitlin Byrd, Métis Nation, Greater Victoria. I also just wanted to take a moment to remind the Assembly that we don't have to vote and decide on this today. We can have good discussion, we can talk to one another, we can hear different perspectives, we can think it over, we can come back in June and revisit this if we want. So we do have time, we don't have to feel pressured to make a decision. It's an important one that we have lots of discussion on. I'm glad that we're hearing different perspectives and having discussion on it. So just a reminder, generally, I'm not speaking in favor or opposed to going in camera. Just a reminder, we don't have to feel the pressure to get it done today. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm going to finish with President Copeland, and then we'll go to the vote on the in-camera.
I was just concerned about it being a Zoom meeting next time with credentials or, confidentiality.
Can you repeat that just that some people around here maybe just closer to the microphone?
I was also concerned about confidentiality with it being an online meeting in June, so.
Thank you. I did see some additional hands and whatnot. I think, and I think each of the other hands were ones who had already spoken. I am going to, I wish to proceed to consideration of the motion for to move in camera.
Point of clarification, please.
Yes.
David Howard, Seminar Métis Association. I've been on camera, but I've never been in camera. Does the process have to include what exactly we're going to be talking about. Does this relate specifically to this resolution? Obviously, it seems that this resolution has brought up the more general concerns, and going into camera will permit us to talk about these concerns, but does it have to be made clear what we're voting on as an agenda item? I'd just like to know that if we're going in camera, there's still some structure, some standing rules, and it's not just a free-for-all. So it's my first time. So
Thank you for that question for clarification. I'll turn to Mr. Beaker to respond.
Thank you for the question, President Allard. In-camera means that we're in a confidential session. The standing rules still apply. We would, once we are done our discussions in camera, we would have a motion to go out of camera. It would also be my strong suggestion that no votes be taken in the in-camera session, that we go out of camera and then we do the vote back in an open session. That's all in-camera means, is that we're in a confidential session. All other rules still apply.
Right, thank you. So we are going to vote on whether or not to go in camera on the motion. It is a simple majority. We will go by way of hands, but we will need to make sure we count. So when you do raise your hand to vote either in favor or against or abstain, please raise your hand and keep it up so that we can make that count. So if you are in favor of the motion that the MNGA now go in camera, please raise your hand.
So the vote tally is 28 in favor, 18 opposed, 2 abstentions. So the MNGA will move in camera now.
Just if I can, I would like it noted in the minutes that Tony Goulet for North Caribou Métis Association, I just want to record in the minutes that I was not in favor of going to in camera. I just want to make that clear, that I want that recorded in the minutes. Thank you. As a personal thing.
All right.
Sorry. So if I may, Mr. Speaker, because we are going into camera, I'd like to give some directions of how we're going to handle this operationally. If I could have a couple of the Gabriel Dumont scouts to assist with ensuring that delegates have put their phones in front of themselves. For that, I will handle the gallery. If anyone does want to stay in the gallery, you are going to hand your, or people in the gallery are free to leave, or they have to hand in their devices. The live stream is to be turned off, and I would like those 2 doors please closed. camera. We're back to an open session. And I'm going to start in reverse alphabetical order. Pixie Wells.
Hi, hi.
Vince Van Meergen.
Present.
Marlene Swears. Joyce Sundin.
Present.
Greg Stanwood.
Here.
Lisa Smith.
Here.
Natasha Smith. Here. Dana Shaw.
Here.
Mert Servatius.
Here.
Kelly Sears.
Present.
Chris Sample. Dan Pope.
Here, here, here.
Always catch him. Lana Olson. Well, yes. Walter Minot. Betty Ann McDonnell.
Present.
Richard Lewis.
Present.
Charlotte Lever.
Present.
Peter Lang.
Here.
Jamie Keith.
Here.
Travis Jobin.
Present.
Susie Hooper. Patrick Harriet.
Present.
June Graham.
Present.
Dean Gladue.
Here, here.
Rainey Gervais.
Here.
Lee Fraser.
Here.
Paulette Flamond.
Here.
Deb Fisher. Alicia Fernando.
Present.
Kate Elliott. Mark DeBoard.
Present.
Cheryl Dodman.
Present.
Sylvia DeRoche.
Present.
Louis DeJagger.
Present.
Sean Daverin. Jeff Crozier.
Here.
Nicole Corson. Alana Copeland.
Here.
Bernadette Chaboyer.
Present.
Ron Karan. Topher Burke.
Present.
Zev Brewer.
Present.
Joy Bremner.
Here.
Caitlin Bird.
Here.
Miranda Berard.
Here.
Rob Anderson.
Here.
David Allard. Here. Is there anyone that I missed? Here. Walter Minot.
Chris Sample.
Okay. Chris Sample, Walter Minot, anyone else missed? Okay, I confirm that we do have a quorum present.
Thank you very much, and we will then move back to Resolution 4 out of camera, and I will recognize Director Harriet.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion, and I want to make sure I make it the correct way. There's a couple different ways of doing this. It's the one where we can work on it and then make sure that we discuss it again at our next assembly. So I think that a lot of good input was had about how we need to be more nuanced and we can strengthen that resolution and then reconsider it at our next assembly.
Mr. Beaker?
So I believe that we have some wording up here that reflects what you're looking for. So the motion will read that discussion and decision on Resolution 4, clarifying citizenship eligibility and acceptance, be postponed to the June 2024 MNGA and allow for amendments to be made to this resolution prior to its consideration in June 2024. Excellent.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Vice President Van Wergen?
Vince Van Wergen, Northeast Métis Association.
Thank you very much. This is debatable, right? It is debatable, so I will look for unanimous consent if we wish to end debate. Is there any objection to ending debate on this motion? Seeing none, then we will move to the vote on this motion. If you are in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. This is the motion that's on the table, on the board. Thank you. Thank you very much. Just to be clear, any opposed? Thank you. One opposed. Any abstentions? Thank you very much. The motion to postpone postpone the resolution number 4 is passed. So we are on resolution 5. Resolution number 5, and I expect or understand that there'll be a similar type of motion. If I can just have a moment with Mr. Beaker first, and then I'll entertain that. Thank you. So just procedurally, it has to be moved and seconded. Sorry. Yes. I will recognize President Keith.
I will motion to move it to the June MNGA. I would also like to say that, my bad, I forgot to consult with my WBC. My apologies. I just got tunnel vision and thought it was an issue that affected Region 3 mostly because we are dealing with this right now. So I would like the chance to do that consultation, and I will move it to the June MNGA. Thank you.
If you just identify yourself for the minutes, who's seconding? Thank you very much. So now we have a motion to similarly postpone Resolution 5 to the June 2024 MNGA. I will look for unanimous consent to end debate. Is there any objection to ending debate on that motion? Seeing none, we will then vote on that motion. Oh, sorry, just a moment. Sure, we'll get it on the screen if we can.
So, same wording just for Resolution 5, postponed to June 2024 MNGA. And it says allow for further consultation with interested parties. I think that reflects the will.
Thank you very much. So we'll be voting on the proposed motion here. If we're going to go by way of unanimous consent, those in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you very much. And just to confirm, any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. That passes and is postponed to the June 2024 MNGA.
I move we adjourn.
Before we do so, I'll just ask if someone could just go out and ask Senator Gladue to come in. Yes, and while we're having that, I'll have President Smith with her closing comments before we get to our prayer.
Hi, everybody. This certainly has been a really wonderful MNGA. I think last night was, I think everybody was excited to see Premier Eby, and we're so grateful that he came. And that's just a testament to the willingness of the province wanting to work with us as the Métis government in British Columbia. I just want to comment on the respectful debate we've had and thank all the leaders for being here. I'd like to thank our veterans for the Dumont Scout duties that they've played. Thank our Senate, Métis Women of BC for being here, Métis Youth of BC, BC Manor. But I'd especially like to acknowledge our staff for all the hard work that they've done on organizing this for us. So on behalf of Métis Nation BC Board of Directors, I'd like to extend a big merci for attending our Métis Nation Governing Assembly here in Richmond. I know that many of you have traveled long distances to be here, and many of you have a long distance to travel home. We really want to acknowledge and let you know how much we appreciate your time and effort. Chartered communities represent the backbone of our governance system. We know how hard you all work, and we hear you loud and clear on the need for capacity funding to do that work. We've been having important conversations. Some of those have been difficult, but once again, the dialogue has been very respectful, and that's what matters. That's what our citizens expect when we come together. We are doing the hard work representing our communities. We are doing the work for the future generations, and we are doing that work in a good way. So thank you all again for coming and giving up your time and your weekend for working on the democracy of our nation. We really look forward to seeing you at the next assembly in June. So safe travels home, everybody.
Good morning, everyone. It's still morning. I know you guys been working hard here in the last 2 days, or maybe more, and the ones that organized this this session here, and it's wonderful to see so many here at the circle right now. I just want to say, from my perspective, I want to thank you all for the work that you do and continue doing the work. So I'm going to say a closing prayer in one of our languages, and just bear with me again. I want to say, ask the Creator to take us home in a safe way so that everything works out for us. And let's remember the ones that are having a hard time. Remember them in our hearts while we're traveling home with all the information that you gathered here. Share it with them. But anyway, just bear with me at this moment. Ano tawi, asami no muta kakiao, kap moasa gami gapau ya. Aak mundo tamat nan, tamiu giwis ya, tamiu taksan ya, tikawis tohti ya. Kakigigway. Imiasek tapngivistaja kutahohtse. Aana mosom kenaskomten asami nanos kagisigak. Thank you, miigwech, merci. Have a safe travel home. So thank you again for traveling so far, some of you. And I think our president mentioned that, and I don't think I'll go there because you guys already heard it. So anyway, thank you. Seeing you all here, it's awesome to see the work that you do, because it shows when you gather like this how close you guys work with each other, and sometimes it's not easy, but that's okay. We all learn from both sides. So thank you. Miigwech kenaskump na.
We have one more item of business, people.
Under the B7.
We need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Susie and Paulette. And on behalf of, oh, yes, we need to vote. We'll do it by unanimous consent. Who votes to adjourn the meeting? And on behalf of Dave and John and myself, thank you so much for coming up, and Nicole as well, and our technical staff and our board of directors. Thank you so much for showing up and working hard for our nation. Safe travels.
And thank you to our staff and Dave. Thank you guys all for all your hard work. Good job there, you guys. And ladies, I should say, it's always generic.